right, here we go. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I normally talk about geeky things. But today I thought it would be a good day to finally just kind of sit down and have a chat about my life and how it's been going since I started doing YouTube again on a weekly basis. Other than the fact that I think there is a raccoon living in either my chimney or my fireplace right now. It's hard to see because I've got this like furnace thing in front of my fireplace. You can kind of see the top of it right here. So I can't see inside my fireplace because it looks like a stove. It's been making noise. So if you hear really weird noises, like an animal wrestling around, it's probably the raccoon in my fireplace. I thought it would be good time to kind of evaluate where I am emotionally, where my emotional state is, where my physical state is. Only just because obviously a lot of things have changed in my life since October. I've also opened up about a lot of things that are very, very sad about my life, very, very stressful about my life, and I'm going to open up about a lot more. So I gotta say, for somebody who is graduating college 10 years after she was originally supposed to, has been single for way too long, way longer than she cares to admit, lives in her parents' basement, and is in severe debt with a part-time job and unable to afford life, my emotional state's actually pretty good. So for those of you guys for those of you guys, I can't speak English. For those of you who are unaware, I suffer from a lot of mental health issues, one being depression, one being generalized anxiety, and another one kind of in between because it's a very low case of it, but OCD or obsessive compulsive tendencies. I've kind of heard both in my time of talking with therapists, whether they're actually going to diagnose me with OCD or just with generalized anxiety with obsessive compulsive tendencies. So I have some mental health issues that I work through on a very regular, very daily basis. So for the way my life is right now, you would think that that would all just be piling up on top of me. And for the most part, it really honestly isn't, which has been nice because obviously I've got this kind of outlet to give myself some kind of creative outlet and some kind of like way to kind of express my emotions. And that's why wine story time has been so therapeutic for me, is because I don't normally talk about those things. I don't talk about those things with friends. I don't talk about those things with family, especially the stuff that happened back when I was in high school, because a lot of people will just tell me, just get over it. For the most part, I am over those things, but it's still just therapeutic just to kind of like vent and kind of have this catharsis after I film a video. So I don't know, I think that that's been really, really helpful, and I'm really glad that they've been well received. The video I was going to film for today was actually going to be more or less about me talking about these things just in a different way. Where have I been since October? October is when I came back to YouTube. I actually started filming in September to get ready for October, and the plan was to actually start filming a lot earlier and get ready and actually come back earlier than October, but as I talked about in that update video, obviously that didn't happen because of computer issues and things like that. So while I was filming all of those things, I hadn't actually quite yet returned to school. Some of it was at the beginning of returning to school. Some of it was before I had returned to school. So I went back to school. My life when it comes to college, I kind of touched on that in my I got kicked out of college video that I talked about this a little bit. I dropped out of college 10 years ago. 10 years ago this December is when I would have dropped out. I originally should have graduated in May of 2009, and then I ended up having to go an extra semester, which then turned into an extra year, and I just wasn't going to do an extra year. So I dropped out in December of 2009, and I just kind of didn't look back for the longest time. I had settled in this life of retail. I'm not saying that if you work retail and you love it and that's going to be your life goal for the rest of your existence, that is settling for you. It's just, for me, that was never my intention. I remember back when I was told I needed to get a job, back when I was in college, and I said I don't want to get a job because right now the only thing I can do is retail, and I want to avoid working retail. My intention was to never work retail. It was not my goal, it was not my dream, and I didn't want to do something that wasn't gearing me towards something better in my life, the thing that I dreamt of, the thing that I wanted to do. I got a job in retail, and I enjoyed it. I legitimately loved it. I loved building the relationships. I loved working with my coworkers. I had personality conflicts. I mean, that happens. You put two humans together, you're gonna find personality conflict. But I had kind of just let college just fall by the wayside, and I just was kind of done. I remember actually thinking, and I said this in a video once, probably on the channel I did before I started vlogging on this one, which I said that I couldn't wait to be done with college because I'd rather work full-time than go to school, even though I was studying something that I genuinely just love. And I hated my job at the time. I genuinely did. My job at the time, I loved what I did, and I did enjoy my coworkers. I just had one major personality conflict, and I had some issues with scheduling and things like that. They really took advantage of a lot of things. This company no longer exists. It was a little mom and pop shop in St. Cloud, Minnesota. There was actually some legality issues involving sales tax and things like that. So it was a pretty shady business, a pretty shady store that I worked for. But so I had my reasons for disliking it. But either way, that's all there is to it. So I decided finally, I was at a point in my life, because I don't want to go back to retail. My mental health is at its absolute worst when I work retail. The sporadic schedule does not do well for my anxiety, the not sleeping as much. I'm a morning person, and so when I have to do a closing shift, it was just a lot on my brain and a lot on my body. When my body naturally shuts down about 9:30, 10 o'clock, that's just a lot to ask of my body. And I couldn't do closing shifts, but I was managing, so it wasn't like I couldn't say I can't do closing shifts. But my mental health was not accessible to that, and my body just wasn't prepared. My body wakes up in the morning very early, and so my body needs sleep, and it tells me when it's time to sleep, and I go to bed when it's time to sleep. And it just got to a point where I had no life outside of work. I couldn't go to my nieces and my nephews' birthday parties. I couldn't, go out with friends when they wanted to go out because I had to work. There was just so much, and I knew that I couldn't go back to that. And I knew I needed one of those like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 kind of jobs, because that is what my mental health requires. I need a stable schedule. And so that's what I got when I went and got my job at this part-time church that I work at, or this church that I work at part-time. And it's great, but it doesn't pay my bills. Hey, making a video. The other animals all know when to be quiet. Rude raccoon living in my fireplace. So I went back to school with the intention of figuring out how to live my life. And I knew that I didn't want to start over. And so I decided to finish my degree as a film studies major. The only problem is I am not the same person I was when I declared that major. I still want to make movies. That is still my ultimate goal, is to make movies. Right now, my dream job is to be the showrunner of Power Rangers, but it's probably not going to happen. Hey, Hasbro. Everybody share this video with Hasbro. Tell them to watch this timestamp in the video. Hasbro, I want to run Power Rangers for you. Give me a call, because I have some ideas on how to make the show better, and I studied film studies in college, film criticism. I know what makes movies and shows great. So this face wants to go and live in New Zealand for a couple of years at a time. Or, we can move it to like Vancouver, right? Can we move it to Vancouver? There we go. So no, I do still want to make movies, but I also don't look at the world through rose-colored glasses anymore, and I understand that being a creative isn't going to pay off right away. I needed to figure out what else I could do in the meantime, and I'm not the same person that I was when I was 20 years old and declared that major. The furnace thing is locked, by the way. So if it is in my actual fireplace, I don't think it can get out. Excuse you! This video has gone off the rails. Are we done? Are we done? In there. Go to sleep. You're a raccoon. You're nocturnal. It is a little nerve-wracking that I have my back to it. Anyway, so I decided to finish my major just so that I would have that degree. I would love to work in something that would be, film criticism or film history, something in that realm. But those jobs are hard to find. And so I started looking at video editing jobs and then realized I hate editing my YouTube videos. I do it and I think I'm good at it. I hate editing. Like the very first thing, if I ever got to a point where I could hire somebody to be a part of my YouTube channel, the very first thing I would hire is an editor. I would rather just plan videos, write the videos, and film the videos, and then give it to somebody else. I've been doing a lot of soul searching since I've come back to school in figuring out what would make my creative side happy, which would be to make movies and YouTube videos and things like that on the side. And once they became a thing where I could do that full time, woo! But if it never did, that's okay too. But also, what can I do to pay my bills and somehow do all the trips that are going to happen in 2020 apparently, because I just got a text from my mother saying that we're going back to Disney World in February. So that's 3 whole plane rides. I need a lot more money than I currently have. Oh boy. So I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and my goals now have changed pretty drastically. I've become, an animal rights activist, and we will talk about my feelings about PETA in another video when I actually am emotionally prepared to make the video that I wrote, because I wrote out a script for a video in which they're not an animal rights activist group. We're just gonna put it that way. Saving animals and saving the planet is such a huge goal of mine now. And so that's kind of the direction I'm going. Against my father's best wishes. When I told him I was thinking about becoming a pastor, he'd be like, he said that would be great. If I thought about at one point becoming a professor, and he was like, that sounds great. You're gonna be great at both of those things. And I said, I wanna go into nonprofit management. And he said, there is no money in it. I love my father, but obviously his idea of success is very, very different than mine. He's very, very baby boomer. Like, we'll just put it that way. Money means success to him. And not saying that all baby boomers feel that way, but that seems to be the mentality of the baby boomers. But no, I really do truly believe that that is the path that I want to take. And I'm taking steps to do that now. And I'm really hoping that I can make that a reality for myself. I've thought about nonprofit actually for many years. I just didn't know in what way I wanted to do it and how to do it and what kind of job I would want. And so now I'm taking those steps, and it's really cool. And I graduate in 5 weeks. I am freaking out right now because it is really scary. The thought that I'm graduating at all, like I never thought that this day would ever actually come. I had actually given myself the ability to just accept that I was never going to graduate. I gave myself that ability just to be like, it's not gonna happen. Just live with it. It's not gonna happen for you. I am finally doing it, you guys. It is so exciting. So very, very exciting. And there are a lot of other exciting things happening in my life. I've got the secret projects that I'm working on that I'm gonna film. Again, because all these test episodes are not working. So I'm gonna film that again after I'm done filming this. And hope that this is finally the last one I have to film. But I don't know, I'm just very, very excited about the way my life is going right now. And even though I've got all this mental health stuff going on in my brain, I'm staying positive. And I think the one thing that's really helping, other than making these videos as kind of therapy or just kind of this outlet where I can just feel like I'm doing something, that I'm creating something, that I'm making somebody's day, that I'm making somebody happy, which helps me a lot in the long run, is the fact that I have a future that is open to me right now. I didn't have that a year ago. I tried looking for a full-time job a year ago, and nobody would hire me for 2 reasons. And one of those things I could fix, one of those things I can't. It's part of my past, it's part of my history, it's how retail works, and that's job hopping. It just pays better to move to a new company. Companies don't want you to stay around for years anymore. They want you to move on to different positions and different jobs and things like that. They want new employees more than they want to keep the old ones, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how retail works. I can't fix my job hopping, but I could fix the fact that I didn't have a bachelor's degree. And I'm almost there. I'm also dealing a lot with overcoming my binge eating disorder. And would you stop? being very active right now. My binge eating disorder, I've been doing really, really well. I'm over a year since the last time I binged, which is incredible. My binge eating voice, or my eating disorder voice, comes and goes. Right now it's pretty quiet, but for a long time it was, binging isn't that bad for you, why don't you just do it, just eat, you know you want to. But I also have the binge eating disorder tell me that I'm fat and ugly and worthless, and I may as well just go anorexic because it's the only way that I'm ever going to actually lose weight. And right now the voice of a raccoon hanging out in my fireplace. I need to do something about this. This is not good. But that's what binge eating disorder, what eating disorders in general do to you. You have this eating disorder voice that tells you one way or another what to do with your life and your body. And it's really hard to understand the difference. And for a long time I didn't understand the difference between being actually hungry and my binge eating disorder voice, or my eating disorder voice, telling me that I need to eat everything in sight. Until I looked at myself in the mirror one day and didn't recognize who I was anymore. I had gained more weight than I had lost after high school. I binge ate in high school. I gave it up. I overcame it. I recovered, and I lost 75 pounds. And then all of a sudden, when I was working retail again, I found myself gaining weight, and I couldn't understand why, because I was still very active, and as far as I knew, I was eating normally. But that's the problem with binge eating disorder. You lose control and sometimes black out when you eat. And I'm gonna cry because this is something I don't talk about very often, you know? So I was gaining all this weight and I couldn't understand why. I couldn't understand why I was gaining all this weight. I was ridiculously active. I was doing martial arts. I was out running every single day. I was out walking every single day. Like, I would walk in the morning with my dog. I would go running in the evening by myself. I was doing martial arts. Like, I was ridiculously active, but I was gaining weight. And I couldn't figure it out. It was because I was blacking out when I was eating. I was blacking out, fuging essentially while I was eating, and I was binging. And when I realized what had happened, that I was binging again, I fell into a depression, very, very deep depression. And I stopped being active. I stopped going to karate. I stopped running. I stopped being the person that I am, the athlete that I truly, honestly am underneath all of this. And I'm finally taking that life back. And I've lost about 20 pounds. I fluctuate, but I've lost about 20 pounds since my heaviest, and it feels good. These pants are a little, well, these ones aren't because I just washed them, but the pants usually are feeling a little loose. I have to pull them up pretty frequently. I'm feeling better about myself. I'm still not recognizing myself yet, but that'll come. That'll come. It's been an interesting couple of years in my life, as we talked about in my GeekCon video. And then going back to school and overcoming my binge eating again, and understanding that I needed to just do something creative. And I'm looking forward to what's next. So I know this is a very different video, very real video. It's not like a wine story time where I'm making fun of my past and drinking wine while I'm doing it. It is 11 o'clock in the morning, or it's still before 11 o'clock. It's still only 10:30. So I'm not going to be drinking wine at 10:30 in the morning. That would be a whole different problem. You know, I've been through a lot over the last couple of years of my life, and had some serious highs, some serious lows, and right now I'm in a good place. I'm in a really good place, and I want to thank you guys for that. The ones of you that watch my videos on a regular basis, those of you that share my videos, those of you that have nothing but kind words for me when I do make my videos. Crying again. I want to thank you guys, because without this outlet, because I thought about that last night, you know, who I am as a social media person, and yeah, you know what, I need validation, because my self-esteem is really low, and I need validation that I'm a good person, and that people like me, and that people find me pretty, because I don't. I am a good person, but I don't find myself pretty. I don't think people actually like me. What am I doing? Okay. Raccoon, make some noise. Break the tension. Anyway, I thought I would just share that with you guys. And thank you for helping my mental health. Thank you for helping my mental state. And I adore every single one of you. And my battery's going to die, so I'm going to say goodbye now. Enjoy. This raccoon has got to go. Bye, everyone.